do have a sort of fan in the background, so I'm not sure if it is picking that up. I'll just pause for 3 seconds. I better turn it off just to be safe, because otherwise it's not picking it up on the bar, but when I speak it could be picking it up, so I'm not quite sure. Now I want to see if this actually streams through to Twitter. Have a look, and for some reason I don't know how to save it. It's really strange. Like, I really wish Twitter would let you basically save all your videos in one spot, similar to YouTube, so you can click on your media profile and then you could see all of your all of your videos, but it doesn't seem to want to do it at the moment. Now I just have to check restream, and this time I will check chat, because I went back through some old videos and I did not know there was some pretty cool people in the chat, and I've been completely ignoring them, so sorry about that. Not intentional at all, but I'll make my best effort to make sure I can read the I get stuck in the zone and just keep going, crapping on about sort of my thoughts for the day. So that's what this is. It's day 1540. So if you've been here since day one, since the AA, then you probably are aware of the need to quit Telegram while you're streaming, because you will get pop-up alerts. Now, just wreck your ears. Now, the next thing, Tinta, what's happening? See, I told you I'll check it. I told you I'll check the chat. I have a bad habit. Sometimes I went back through the other day, Tintop, and I was like, I missed all these people in the chat. I'm like, oh, dude, that's how rude of me. Now it's day 1540. I haven't got too much to talk about that you guys probably aren't already aware of. If you're new to HEX, I doubt very much so that you're going to be picking up on this channel. I'm not sure though. I did cover some Coinbase stuff and some Celsius stuff. Now I'm going to build out on that Coinbase coverage, because there were some interesting findings, very interesting. Now, what's happening, Joshua? Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I'll check the chat, because I have a bad habit of not checking the chat. Now, we are looking at, so interest rates, the Fed rates, and the US election. Before we get into that, what's happening to Orion? Before we get into that, I'd like to introduce my friend. It's not a wrench, but it's very close. Mr. Crowbar. And if anyone thinks about wrench attacking any of us Hexicans, you'll be met with Crowy. I'm only kidding. There's not a threat, it's a promise. Now, moving on, we do have the economy is in recession. Now, people said, we're not going to get into a recession because we're going to have the soft Goldilocks landing. That's what Wall Street tends to crap on about, simply put. Their answer is to buy more stonks. Their answer is to maybe even buy gold, who knows. All of which have been trash in comparison to, some things like cryptocurrency. Mind you, the recent bear market that we went through was pretty brutal. I think a lot of us are starting to realize maybe we're coming out of it, just maybe. So I thought I would put on some nicer clothes I haven't been able to wear for a while. They still actually fit, which is surprising. I managed to find one of my watches, which is not anything special, but it looks better than a Fitbit. But it's by far a Rolex, If I had a choice between a Rolex and a Lambo, I'll probably choose a Lambo. But anyway, the recession, right? It's interesting that it's a surprise that certain large economies are moving into recession. I know. This is a Crowy. Crowy? I don't know. What's up, fools? Dude, tell me about it. This thing, I reckon I got it for a decent price. Well, it's made in China, but I'm pretty sure, I won't go there. It's a Trojan. It's called a wrecking bar. So let's wreck shit. No, I'm kidding. It's high quality carbon steel. It's also, the reason I brought it out, to be honest, was it's because it's a hexagon profile for greater control, to make sure you don't end stake your shit, emergency end stake unnecessarily. Now, recession, yeah. Now I'm hearing a lot of talks about the inflation, but I'm hearing a lot of talks about the Fed and what they may or may not do, what they've done previously after previous recessions, and depending on not whether you think we're in one or not, statistically, what the chances are. Now, I won't cover that too much, but basically, people have pointed out that we could be in a recession. Maybe they just don't want to call it. And as we lead into the US election, that may be a contributing factor to things like interest rates actually being pulled back. But when yeah, that's right, man. When they sort of go into the the election that's coming up, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's none of my business, but either way, it's the economy is everything. Things are wrecked, right? Things are more wrecked than this wrecking bar, and how they're going to fix it, I have no idea. If you have a look at inflation, if you have a look at the price of goods, inflation's under control. It's going up, but not by as much. Yeah, okay. Now we know that fiat is just printed from thin air. They claim that it's not, and everyone wants quantitative easing to fix everything. But how is that going to happen? You're going to magically do what? When they start cutting, if they start cutting too early, it could just destroy the economy. Now, that's pretty much what I want to talk about. I won't mention the exact dates because I haven't got them off the top of my head right here. I have to review some videos and pull out the data. It may not be right, but so far it's been pretty accurate, and it's all been signaling from the Fed anyway. So if you have a look around, that's generally to say what they are going to do. It's just kind of surprising that they're actually admitting Japan's slipping into recession, and some other places are saying, did you know there's a global recession that's not coming in 2024? It's like, okay, so which is it? So the third largest country slips into recession, but there's anyway, not contagion. Now, I was going to cover this, but that's not for this channel because it was kind of a big win. Now, I don't know what that means in your area where you are located geographically, but this article, YouTube, now not you guys in chat, but article here, YouTube, fact, New Zealand court declares Defence Force vaccine mandate unlawful. Fact. Actual fact. Case law. Citing breaches of rights. Now, I call that a small win, but the next thing that you're probably here for is cryptocurrency. Maybe I was pulling up, like, what else is there to do but cover HEX? We can cover some new, 404 stuff. You can cover some other PRC20s maybe. Maybe, I don't know. But I had this image here. I don't know why I felt as if, it'd been a while in the bear market. So I took this screenshot here. Someone had bought around these areas. It might have been an okay return. We see here, Pulse was, what was it? 0.56 of a sacrifice. It was PLSX. That was a pretty decent buy. The ratio 1.1 to 3.6. INC was 49 to 50 cents, and HEX combined was 1 cent 37. So you think that was PHEX, was under a penny. Since then, it is improved just ever so slightly. So I hope you bought your wrecking bars, because when we Hexkins get together, we're gonna wreck shit this bull market. Yeah. Now, the next thing I thought I would look at is the bookmarks. Now, this is the Coinbase thing I was talking about. That's a good point, Tin Top. Like, that it's kind of what they were saying. They're saying, well, they're kind of pointing out that the Fed may not influence, but if say they don't cut right going into the election, it's almost like certain doom for whoever's in power. So who knows? Maybe they really hate Biden. I don't know. Maybe they love him. Maybe it's all theater anyway, and no matter what, we're going to get what happens. So maybe you don't stress too much about it, because I have heard people say like HEX is different, like don't worry about it. Crypto is different from the economy. I disagree in some areas, but when it comes to things like real DeFi, maybe they are correct, because we're seeing some interesting moves, which I'll cover later. But we've all seen it. I'm literally out of things to talk about within the cryptocurrency space. But and therefore I thought I'd revisit, Hex and some interesting stuff in Hex Go and the community. Now, this one here, back to the Coinbase stuff. Do you know that Coinbase holds almost 700,000 US dollars in the value from the Pulse Chain airdrop? So I'm wondering, right, if all the exchanges around the world, the centralized exchanges, admit that they actually hold these Pulse Chain tokens, for instance, or other PRC20s, but like, what are they going to do? What, are they just going to sell it on the sly and tell no one? And when you see it on-chain data, you'll be like, hang on, bro, where did that come from? Because I was having a look around myself on some exchange wallets that I could see, and there was some very weird shit. I have to double check, but it wasn't Coinbase. But this one here actually is, and it's like, hang on, this is on-chain data indicating XYZ. So maybe Coinbase, if you're listening, or other people in the industry, maybe you sort of warm up to the idea that Pulse Chain is here, warm up to the idea that, PRC20s are a thing, and warm up to the idea about real DeFi, decentralized exchanges. That, unlike Uniswap, although they have some interesting updates coming, will not like delist, assets, even though you can just run it yourself and remove that censorship, which is kind of funny. So that I thought was interesting. Again, this is from Twitter. Hopefully it's coming up on stream. Yep. Now, the funny thing is I forgot how to bookmark things, right? So I've got bookmarks from ages ago. And I was going through here, just some stuff. Some stuff. But this is the interesting one. Out of all the things that I had bookmarked, I think this is probably worth a listen. I'll start here and I'll play this through. This is before before Pulse Chain is actually out. Now, previously, I'll do a stream and it would have a look at the price of Hex, T-shares, some wallet movements, all on Hex.vision maybe, and now we have a whole lot more. Recently, I was covering. I was watching people cover like the Com airdrops. Before that, there was the Hedron, Icosa airdrops. There was the Decis, all those sort of things tied in. The HSIs, the Watts is tied into the sort of built upon or built around the initial product, which is Hex, the finished product, which is Hex, and the T-share mechanism, which is a part of Hex. Imagine Bitcoin that if you held in a certain way, you would get more Bitcoin. Not just held it in a certain way. What if you destroyed it? It sent it to, like, burnt it and gone. And then if you waited for some time, you would get more. Volume is low. Ooh. Okay, I'll try and turn it up. It could be the way the mic is. Check. Mic check. I'm not sure if I can fix it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've got to get a better audio setup. Is that any better? Test. Oh, hang on. It might be low on the... Oh, that might be too loud. This one here. All right. I'll play this through. Thank you. All right, cool.
I'm drowning in devs. That shit cannot be quick. They can't be doing any quicker than it is. I think outreach to new users is what the community can do best, and it has been doing best, by the way. The vast majority of new users comes from you guys, not me. Same goes for content. So, I appreciate what you guys do. I'm very thankful. I know it's hard to tell that sometimes because I'm shaking my ass or whatever. The community is the most important part of the thing. Like, the community is the most important thing in Hex, and is the thing I am most proud of. It is the community. So that's you guys. I appreciate what you guys do.
We are the wreckers. We're here to destroy crypto in a good way. We're here to command and conquer and command crypto. We're going to take real DeFi by force if necessary. Peacefully, politically, legally, lawfully. Now, I thought that was a brilliant message. It was really good to listen to that. Maybe people had forgotten about that, or maybe, I don't know. I just thought it was good to hear again. I'm not sure if my dog is trying to scratch down the door. election is heating up. Yeah, I'm almost like I've basically turned off on a lot of things. Like I've turned. I don't feel like we can crypto can win. I mean, yeah, there are some good political individuals in the crypto realm, but I think it's up to us. Like, if there was one of us in the crypto space, in different aspects, all different aspects of the world, I guess, and sort of pushing for crypto, being the promoters of crypto, things like that, maybe that would be positive. Maybe I saw a tweet as well, something about contacting your local senators in the areas you're in, letting them know, discussing about the pros, maybe, and cons of cryptocurrency. I know where I can, I sort of try to, push back where I can. So shifting gears ever so slightly. Now, if you guys aren't, you're probably already following this, the pulse alerts. We've got, what is happening, I guess, within the pulse chain ecosphere, somewhat within the HEX ecosphere. But what did we see take place, right? We saw back here in, late last year, we basically didn't see much movement, right? We saw a lot of selling. People were getting upset. Personally, I had a game plan, and I had to engage with it earlier than I wanted to. Having done so, I did prepare for such events, not to be not as extreme as these prices were, but I did have a game plan and I stuck by it. I hope everyone did as well, because not that it worked extremely well, but what it did do, it saved me from myself. And the answer wasn't just to stake everything 555, no. But it was sort of a preparation, ratio trading, ratio positioning, ratio footing. If XYZ were to play out, what would you, I guess, in essence, ultimately sell first? Now, then we saw some very interesting moves as we all witnessed on chain. I heard through the grapevine of that is X wallets connected to sacrifice addresses bridging in. From there, I haven't done the on-chain analysis to check what exactly they are doing, but the summary is assets coming in and prices going up. It's been fascinating to watch. And as the assets coming in have stopped or slowed down, the prices decreasing haven't been decreasing by as much. Maybe people were more hesitant to sell out. Maybe people had already dumped everything they were going to, or maybe people had more belief that maybe this something might come into the crypto space and absolutely wreck everything. I believe there's a X post out there, formerly Twitter, that says, can you imagine where like Pulse Chain is number one? I can't remember the exact order, even though there's three of them, so it's not that hard. But, imagine there's Pulse Chain number one, there's a Pulse Hex number two, and then Hex number three, or some variant of that. That would be a kind of cool world to live in. I guess the Bitcoin ETF thing does. I have no idea what took place there. The whole hacking of the account, and then the announcement just out of nowhere, and then everyone's just all in now. Absolutely crazy to see. Now, I remember watching a stream, I think it was Ivan, who was basically saying the whole, and it was just brilliantly presented. It was like, it opened my eyes so much. It's like, first the pump for Bitcoin, then the pump for alts. So like, oh, okay, that makes sense. He sort of explained, I'm like, okay, that's probably what's going to happen. That's what I've witnessed happen every other time. That's what I saw. I used to see it not on chain, but on the charts. You would literally see the chart go up, Bitcoin up, maybe Ethereum up in tandem. Then they'll come down. It's almost like they're dumping, and then people would just be buying up all the alts. Now imagine this time around with, for instance, not institutional money, but large purchases of cryptocurrencies such as BTC and the like. It's going to be like the Hart's Law amplified through, I hate to say, institutional money. It's just I'm in disbelief at this point in time. Now, Yeah, yeah. I can't remember. He had some guests on. There's three of them. Two of them, three total, and one of them was basically pointed out like you know, but pointed out he's like broke it down like the Bitcoin will increase, and then what I saw previously, then there's a delay, then the alts increase, and then people maybe take profits and they go back into Bitcoin and vice versa, and they just sort of this huge wave. It's absolutely insane to think about because every time it's happened, um, especially with the Bitcoin halvings, we've seen what the price has done over time. It just continues to go up to the right, like T shares, like the is it the SHA-526 mining algorithm for Bitcoin? It's like go figure. Now the next one that's worth covering. So pulse alerts. Yeah, so that's what I've noticed. Nothing out of the ordinary. Every now and then you will see exits from Pulse Chain back into Ethereum. And the funny thing is, I wait for the absolute murdering of the price, and I don't see it. I'm like, how is this shit? How is this doing this? It's really it's fucking awesome. Like, and then we see Hex alerts as well. It's another one to watch. It's like you see some large amounts moving around, large amounts of Hex, sold for INC. Then you see Hex being sold for wrap pulse. And the curious thing is, like, when this is selling, is it actually decreasing the ratios, or is it just feeding into itself? Like we saw the charts. I think there was a tweet something about which is likely to do a 10x first, and then you saw the patterns of the I think it was Pulse X, Hex, and INC. And the funny thing is, you don't see, like, when you're trading, or if you ever look at the price of, say, USD to JPY, the foreign exchange, right? And if you look at the inverse chart, so JPY to US dollars, so USD to JPY, then you have the inversion, right? JPY to USD, and as one increases, the other decreases, right? And so if one is increased, and that is what you would usually expect from like something like a Hex Pulse pair. If, for instance, you saw a sell against Hex Pulse, and then the Pulse Hex price, you might see, usually what you would see is the price of Hex increase or decrease in the sale, and the price of Pulse increase. But I'm not seeing that. It's phenomenal. I did have a look around when I was doing some, basically because there's a bit of delay with the block scanners. I tend to leave it, I come back, I manually write everything down, right? And doing so allows me to then go back and check. Sometimes there's like prices that are missing, so I manually enter them in. And so what I was doing, I was checking to the ratio. And the interesting thing that I accidentally discovered for a few trades, I'm not sure if it was specific to that particular token pair, but the ratio of, how can I put it? It was broken down into 3 different trades. And what I saw on chain, so you do like a buy sell basically on Pulse X, and then you'll see this ratio, and it was like, I think it was 5-3-2 or something like that. And the exact same ratio appeared in another trade not long after. And again, I'm not sure if that's for every pair, but this one particular pair that I did see, it was just fascinating to see how that was actually working. Now, I'm not sure if that was an accidental find or if anyone else has seen that, but that's just one thing I noticed. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so Pulse alerts, Hex alerts. We have Go Pulse again. So we compare this image to this one here. Things are looking a little bit more healthy, right? Where was it? Yeah, so 1.45, where, so I don't know if you guys remember when we were all sitting at this under the sack rate, INC was like waning and Hex was just moving sideways. It felt like the end of the world. Not like the end of the world, but you almost got used to it. It's like, okay, how low is this thing going to go? How much better are these prices going to get, and how much am I going to be like, I don't want to buy this shit, but if I do buy it, it might be worth something. Then you actually did it. If some people did, they were lucky. Oh my god, they would have got a bargain, right? Some people sitting on long-term stakes might have been biting their nails and be going, oh fuck, what's going to happen here? But most likely, if they got in very early, it would still be up. Now yeah, I'm aware of the whole all-time high purchases, but if you think about it, the all-time high purchases, if this is like optimal fucking Goldilocks scenario, which people will absolutely hate me saying, but people could technically now think about it and go back and check, just logic check. It's even if you bought at or around the all-time high with, if your plan was, your own personal plan was to sacrifice for something like say Pulse Chain, if you were lucky enough to hear about it, then you would have literally locked in those gains and you would have got your Pulse back. And had you have held, well, when it initially came out, it did like a 2-3x, I'm pretty sure, in the first week or so from memory. Once there was actual prices, but if you had held to now and maybe did some yield farming, you would have been okay. But you know, if you were here for the short-term gain, you bought at the all-time high, you would still be down a little bit. If you had have staked, however, or mined, maybe, just maybe, things may not have mattered so much. Again, it depends on how your staking ladder was set out. But yeah, everyone's different in that term, in that way. But going back to this, we do see here, right? We see Pulse, we see Pulse X, we see INC, we see HEX. Prices have improved a little bit, right? Just a little bit. It's looking a little bit more healthy, yeah. If prices were to stay at this price, for absolutely ever, would it matter? Now you wouldn't see the mad gains. However, it would still be very functional for some people. And that would mean no one else is buying. That would mean, I guess that would mean people are like maybe going to try and dump and murder the price. However, I can't see it on chain just yet. Now we're seeing it pull back slightly, just ever so slightly. Just watch it. It's interesting. The next thing I think personally, I just keep thinking, I reckon if we see something like 2x SAC rate, then I'm thinking we're going to see Pulse X at SAC, like equal to SAC. I'm not sure the ratios and what that will look like as to INC HEX. I'm thinking the main ones have been thinking about is Pulse. If that hits like 0.0002, 2% of SAC rate, double your the initial SAC rate, then I don't know why I have this feeling that a measured guess that maybe you'll be looking at Pulse X, which will be at SAC rate, so a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, in saying that, I was thinking initially maybe the 3-to-1, because it held the 3-to-1 for the longest time, but I'm talking about short-term-ish, right? Like parabolic move up, like sort of ratcheting up, not long-term moon maths, which potentially could happen. But as we see, they move in tandem, and where is the huge volume that is going to, inject into something like HEX or Pulse X or INC? Now, should we see things like centralized exchange listing, allowing people to access their own PRC20s, most likely, arguably, it could be dump pressure, but it also could be people realizing there's some value here. Maybe they look at the farms on Pulse X or some other. They have to learn about this stuff because it's not so easy. What next? So that's the main thing I'm thinking. I'm guessing if we see a Pulse at 2 SAC, I'll repeat, if we see Pulse at 2 SAC, most likely we're going to see Pulse X at 1 SAC. Now, I could be wrong. It could keep the ratio 3-to-1, but I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. The next thing, this was kind of cool. I was driving around today, and I looked to my right, and there was a charity truck. I think it's called the RSPCA here in Australia. It's like, a charity for pets. And I thought that'd be kind of cool, donating, having enough money to donate to a zoo or something, or anything like that, to be able to like spend your mad gains. I don't know, maybe you want to take advantage of some look into like if there's some benefits of donating, and keeping the receipt, etc. But then I saw here, I was looking for some content to cover like hexfire.io. There's a lot of useful information here, basically pointing out the maths and what's going to happen based on current trajectory. T-shares are basically locked in except for the actions of individuals. So yeah, have a look into that. Now we see here, not only do we have the EHEX price, we also have the PX price, we have the Pulse X price, we have the INC price, and we have the Pulse Chain price and the Ethereum price. there's talks of an Ethereum ETF coming along, and it would not surprise me if following that you start to see other ETFs. I think there was a tweet recently saying that ETFs may sort of be the way of the future in regards to cryptocurrency, to stepping around some roadblocks. Now, whether or not that comes to fruition straight away, or it's realized over time, because how long did it take for people to realize Bitcoin and recognize Bitcoin? And now, the funniest thing I'm seeing now is the people that were telling me that, buy gold and stocks are going to be okay and do this with the stocks. Some of those calls got me wrecked, right? Now the same calls are saying, now's the time to buy Bitcoin. I'm like, hang on. You could have, it was funny, like, not ripping into them, but they were pointing, it's funny because they point out how mainstream media has these talking points, these narratives, and like buy stocks is one of them, right? And they say, Bitcoin, gold's more reliable. And then out of nowhere, the Bitcoin ETF comes, right? Price starts ripping. Then they start saying, people are getting rid of gold now and to hedge against inflation. Maybe you can go into Bitcoin now. When maybe they're talking about ETF, or maybe they're talking about just buying their physical asset. But I'm like, how you guys, this particular what is it? Email newsletter was basically saying, you should buy Bitcoin. Think about buying Bitcoin. I'm like, hang on. When these prices here, right, and everything was like wrecked, there was no talk of Bitcoin ETF just yet, and everything was down, everything was suppressed. Wouldn't that have been the time to engage with cryptocurrency? And then you start see it ripping, and now it's time to buy. This is why it's going to be I don't know how high all of this is going to go. I would like to say it just what I'm not going to call the price. I said Hex will get to $100. I'm not sure the time frame though. I'm not on that one. I'm not sure the time frame. But the way we saw it rip previously, you could argue because of the sacrifice was taking place, and people were trying to get positions in Pulse at higher rates, which is now worth more. So that's a positive return, right? But it wouldn't take much, like, not in terms of crypto time, because crypto time is not long. But isn't Bitcoin like just over 13 years old now? What could the price of Hex, Pulse Chain, PulseX, and INC be in, I know it's a long time, in 13 years time from now? So maybe not 13 years, because we've already been through about 4. In 10 years, 11 years, what could the price? Is it out of the question that Hex is $100 then? Is it out of the question Hex is $1 then? Based on inflation and things like that, t-shirt rate? I don't think it is. But in the more short term, like I said, I'm looking at Pulse at double sack rates, and I'm thinking once that hits, Pulse X will most likely be at sack rate. I don't know why, but I've been looking at that and thinking that's what's most likely going to happen. And again, I haven't got any figures as to what INC and Hex, both Hexes will do in that instance. But yeah, where was I going with that? Oh, the charity. And the funny thing is, if you look around here, so I was looking through here, and I'm like, what's this? ecad1.org. So I had a look, clicked on it, and it is actually a charity. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like service dogs. We got them here. We got not service dogs. We've got they help blind people. They're golden retrievers as well. And they're really, really awesome. And there's even some other dogs that, they help people, even PTSD and stuff like that, for various people. So that's why for veterans, and then that's why I combine, this community with potential economic power, with potential for how do you want to make the world a better place? Because maybe we do it through elections, maybe we don't. Like, do we even have a horse in the race for cryptocurrency, like a legitimate horse in the race? Like, I don't think Like, I don't think anyone's coming to save us. I think we need to save ourselves. We need to make change. We want to make what we want to see. Maybe we want to donate to certain charities, you know, if we're able to get into that position, if we're to, you know, get financially free and retire early and shit like that, you know, or if we just see the maddest gains, and maybe just maybe we're able to see gains far beyond what we can possibly fathom in the future, and the only way to move this sort of monetary power around could be through, I mean, you could just buy the Lamborghini factory, but it could be through, you know, like donating to charities and stuff, like helping these non-for-profit organizations get, you know, give them the funding, the capital injection, and then you get something out of it. You get a better world, and they get to use that capital, I mean, you know, and then, you know, bring about change. Who knows? Maybe one of us in the HEX and ecosphere will have enough free time to invent something that changes the world. Maybe it is cryptocurrency itself. Maybe we donate to something which leads to something else, you know, the life extension technology. Maybe we're able to assist with even scientific technology. Who knows? And we help develop a time travel mission or something. Who knows, right? Or infinite energy. Just some cool things, I think. Like, why have we invented things like that? Do they even exist? But yeah, that's my dreams. But yeah, and then so that's kind of cool. And we're seeing Pulse Chain do insane things. We're seeing Ethereum most likely going to do insane things, which is going to wreck the price of gas. But we're seeing some upgrades coming through shortly, coming soon, within the next 2 weeks. Funnily enough, and hopefully they get some upgrades, fix the gas fees. The gas fees can then come over to Pulse Chain, and that will make the Pulse Chain even more efficient, which is basically a win-win all around. Especially if you have stakes, miners, etc., on Ethereum and Pulse Chain, which I'm hoping people do, because, you know, like, you never know, what if they hit parity, like $1 each, it's too bad. And then you got to think about your sudden wealth syndrome. There's a whole community built around it, which is amazing. And then we have huge innovation taking place in the space, whether it be real world assets, whether it be NFTs, 404s, whether it be just communities built around, just sub communities that are just like popped up. I was gonna say like mushrooms, but like, it's almost like unicorns, like just fighting out more unicorns. and then we got what we got Uniswap v4 coming out, which stuff people could potentially fork that code if it's any good. We've seen other forks come out. Just please, no more sacrifices, people. I'm begging you, community. I'm begging you, please. Unless you want to be memed to death, please don't request sacrifices anymore. All right, that's about it. I hit everything. Good. So wrapping up, world slipping into recession. What else? World slipping into recession. Multiple countries now admitting they're in recession. What could that mean? World wars raging. Previous conspiracy theorists being proved right again. Since December 2023, there has been some hefty movements in the Pulse Chain ecosphere for the upside, benefiting everyone. And benefiting everyone who comes into contact with it. It's like what's the guy that touches everything? The Midas touch. That is sort of what's taking place. If you have a look around in the ecosphere, there could be some farms you want to look at. There could be some other farms you want to look at. There could be some forks you want to look at. There could be some, you know, things that exist on Ethereum that are getting too expensive to be as profitable as they once were, which now exist on Pulse Chain for pennies on the dollar. That's how much, you know, it's the equivalent of. You've heard that saying. I'll close out by playing this message again to anyone who's new to the community or wants to join the community or secretly hates us. But if you actually stop and listen to what some of us are about, maybe we're not the worst people in the world, you know. Like, ranging from supporting, like, how can you hate people that want to support life extension and ECAD, educated canines assisting with disabilities? Like, we're literally like the people, three-letter agencies hate people. Some people that want to make a move towards a type 1 and 2 civilization through I would strongly argue the ability to free oneself from the chains and shackles which this sort of failing type 0 civilization is producing and is going to produce, because we are seeing debt getting spiraling out of control. We're seeing countries going into that the recession phase. How long the fiat currencies normally last? There's nothing new under the sun, right? And how is superpowers going to deal with not losing their status, but if everyone has the same tech, how is a superpower going to maintain its superiority unless you're going to blow each other off the face of the earth? In which case, we will then what? Then there'll be nothing left. No one's going to have anything. It doesn't make any sense. Does not make any sense. Cryptocurrency, as we've heard before, is like one of the only things that are positive in the world, and especially the ones I've noticed that are related to HEX, I would say. So if you were lucky enough to come across HEX, even if you hated HEX with a passion, you hated someone or whatever, you're having some internet beef with someone, what do you think Pulse Chain, Pulse X, INC, and HEX is going to do long term? Stay the same or decrease? Is it infinite? Is this all infinite dump tokens? Is this what we're looking at? Or is this going to get to the point where you're able to make your life better in some way, shape, or form? If you choose to understand, but no one can do this. You have to learn how to do this, right? I can't, well, I could, but people won't listen to information, even though it's right there in front of them, right? The answers are all there. Now, myself included, because I don't have shit all sorted out, I'm telling you. Not yet. But if you think about how to use a system, a legitimate finished product like HEX, right? Then there's two of them. One, and arguably one of them, the original one, the OG HEX, is about to get an upgrade thanks to the Ethereum dev bros, right? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that comes over to Pulse Chain and makes that even more efficient. Yeah, maybe that makes HEX even more efficient on the superior L1 chain. I hate to say it, ETH devs, but based on price, I'm not actually sure if it is actually the cheapest chain. It would be very, very, very close. If there's another one, I can't think of it. And just think about INC. What is INC? Look up what is INC? What is PulseX? What is PulseX going to do as something like HEX? If you think HEX is going to go up, if you think Pulse is going to go up, what is it that you think, with the secret ingredient, which is time, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen to the prices, which are based, not pegged, but are in essence bootstrapped to each other? And these aren't like the ones, the old 3-phase launchers, and they drop off like their fuel portions and they just go into the ocean like ocean rubbish. I had a boating accident. I lost my $1 billion space engine. Now, these are like the nice, crisp, clean, like reusable Elon Musk, like alien bloody tech. I don't think, say, HEX goes to the moon and drops off INC, PulseX, and Pulse. Well, I don't think Pulse goes to the moon and drops off HEX, INC, and PulseX. I think they all get on board the intergalactic spaceship and we all go together. All 4 of them. And Hedron, and Icosa, and Com, and I'm sure there's something else I'm forgetting. Oh, and all the alts and Bitcoin and Ethereum too. Yeah, that is my thoughts. Now, again, I could be wrong. Could be Crazy Loonbird on the internet. But Crazy Loonbird supports educated canines assisting with disabilities. Crazy Loonbird supports type 1, 2, and 3 civilizations. Crazy Loonbird supports life extension. Crazy Loonbird supports things that, will bring about education in the cryptocurrency space, whether it be the need for all of us to push back peacefully, politically, legally, and lawfully to be able to explain to these other people, like, look, there is some other things out there that can provide you some financial freedom should you choose to accept it. Or the other alternative is just completely dismiss and become completely tribalistic and fight over a fucking ticker and decide whose ticker is better. It's like, hang on, you do understand money goes to where it's treated the best. Quite often, money will not talk about some money because it may be a detriment to themselves to talk about it. However, that is in the mindset of like there's only a limited amount of pie, right? So you can only be divided up in so many slices, and too many people into the pie, and then you get a smaller slice. What if the pie is infinitely growing? What happens then? We don't know because we're not used to that. We're used to scarcity. We're used to economics. We're used to this here. This is not really relevant, but maybe this opens someone mind. I don't know. I'll play this through.
Coming out of a university with a master's degree.
You own nothing. Yeah, good old Klaus and the World Economic Forum. I hope they God comes along and crushes them and their evil forces. As I like to call them, or just their inability to actually function as everyday people because they have these superior mindsets, which is not always beneficial to the little guys because it wrecks little guys. I saw a meme. It's like, so you're telling me some countries have 1 billion power plants, but my car's the problem. It's like, what? That's right.
People talk glibly about science. What is science? People coming out of a university with a master's degree or a PhD, you take them into the field, and they literally don't believe anything unless there's a peer-reviewed paper. It's the only thing they accept. And you say to them, but let's observe, let's think, let's discuss. They don't do it. It's just, is it in a peer-reviewed paper or not? That's their view of science. I think it's pathetic. Gone into universities as bright young people. They come out of them brain dead, not even knowing what science means. They think it means peer-reviewed papers, etc. No, that's academia. And if a paper is peer-reviewed, it means everybody thought the same, therefore they approved it. An unintended consequence is that when new knowledge emerges, new scientific insights, they can never...
When T-shares emerge and are released into the general population,
ever be peer-reviewed. So we're blocking all new advances in science.
So according to science, current day science, T-shares don't exist, HEX doesn't exist, Pulse Chain doesn't exist, and Pulse X doesn't exist because it's not peer-to-peer reviewed. And because it's not peer-to-peer reviewed, it can't work. It's like, okay. It's like Bitcoin can never work. It's not peer-to-peer reviewed. Ethereum can never work. All the dApps can never work. The NFTs can never work. But we now have a Bitcoin ETF, and they're talking about Ethereum ETFs. But it can never work because it's not peer-to-peer. It's like, hang on. Maybe there's something here that we've discovered by accident, and maybe it makes a change for the better, I'll let this play.
That are big advances. If you look at the breakthroughs in science, almost always they don't come from the center of that profession. They come from the fringe. The finest candle makers in the world couldn't even think of electric lights.
From the Crazy Loonbirds.
They don't come from within. They often come from outside the breaks. We're going to kill ourselves because of stupidity.
And in closing, I think I will play this one, and then I will go for beer. I don't know.
shit cannot be quick. It can't be doing any quicker than it is. I think outreach to new users is what the community can do best, and it has been doing best, by the way. The vast majority of new users comes from you guys, not me. Same goes for content. So, I appreciate what you guys do. I'm very thankful. I know it's hard to tell that sometimes because I'm shaking my ass or whatever, but community is the most important thing. Like, the community is the most important thing in HEX and is the thing I am most proud of. It is the community. So, that's you guys. I appreciate what you guys do. I'm drowning in devs. That shit cannot be quick. It can't be doing any quicker than it is.